You're listening to the Shalom Sports Podcast with Jack and Gerald. Here's your host, Jack Myers and Gerald Hoover.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Shalom Sports Podcast with Jack and Gerald. He's Jack Myers, I'm Gerald Hoover, and we're happy to have a special guest with us today, Varsity Girls head coach Doug Lehman. How you doing, Doug?
I'm doing great this morning.
Good. It's good to have you on the show with us today to help enlighten us about Varsity Girls volleyball.
Whoa, wow.
Man, that's a bad
that
word.
was like a Freudian slip
Basketball.
there or something.
Basketball. Sorry about that. You know, they always say that basketball is the king around here and volleyball is always secondhand. So maybe that just proves that maybe volleyball is my favorite sport.
That could be.
Yeah,
could be.
I like them both. I like all sports equally, right?
Yeah, that's good.
It's just like your kids. You love them all equally the same. No,
That's
no,
right.
We're happy to have you join us today. So a little bit about you. I wrote a couple things down here about you. So one, you're my brother-in-law, so I've known you a long time.
Yep.
Did you know that, Jack?
Yeah, I did know
You
that.
did know that.
Yeah.
Yep.
He did his homework.
That's right.
He's ready
Jack,
for the podcast.
He's an astute. I mean,
Yeah.
he is sharp. He's a smart student. So you're an alum of Shalom.
That is correct.
Class of
1992.
Class of 92.
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
That-
I was actually on the first boys basketball team,
Really?
the first baseball team, and the first soccer team at Shalom back in the day.
How about that?
Right before we had joined the MDCC.
Mm-hmm.
So you can look in old yearbooks and find some
Some good pictures of
interesting
you.
pictures.
Awesome. Maybe we'll have to do some digging, Jack, and maybe we could put a
Yeah.
couple on the podcast here
Yeah.
and kind of have a slideshow scrolling through that. So, your wife Jen is the athletic secretary here at
Yeah,
Shalom, and she
yeah.
makes Murray look good.
She does.
And so she does a lot of the behind the
It's
scenes
hard to
work.
do, but she does
It's
what she
hard to
can.
do.
Yeah.
She does a great job, and you've had two sons that have graduated from Shalom, and your daughter Maya is a junior here
Correct.
at Shalom, and your sister is Mrs. Hoover, who's one of
She
our
is.
who's our Bible teacher here at Shalom.
She actually
and
got to help coach last night.
she did. I saw that. How about that?
Yeah,
A blast from the past. Have her back on the bench.
that's
you know.
right.
Yeah.
She coached years ago, middle school girls, and was very successful at that. And retired on top, I guess you could say.
That's the way to go out.
That's the way to go out. You're also a pastor and a chicken farmer.
That is correct.
Man, you're a busy guy. I don't know how you get it all done.
Yeah, we do.
You do
So
somehow.
one day at a time. So.
There you go. Anything else you want to add to your bio?
Just Pastor Jen and I, we planted Overflow Community Church in 2006 together, still pastoring that. And then by the same year, we built our first chicken house and have built our second one a year later. And, so we have fun doing that as well. So.
Awesome. Yeah, and like you said, just a busy time in your life, and try to manage it all. Like you said, one day at a time. Sometimes just 1 hour at a time, right?
Absolutely. Today's one of those days.
That's right. So how you been, Jack?
I'm been pretty good.
Good,
Yep.
good. You know what's a week from today, right?
Christmas.
Christmas,
Yeah.
yeah.
I was gonna say, what day is it? Yeah.
So it's December 18th. So 1
Yeah.
week from today, it'll be Christmas morning. So in case they haven't figured it out by now, we won't be doing a podcast.
Yeah.
Unless you want to come in Christmas morning.
Maybe.
Maybe. Now, I think we'll take a little break here.
Yeah.
But so this is going to be our last podcast here of 2024. But we're going to get started, kind of get you caught up, everybody caught up here in what's happening in the world of sports at Shalom Christian Academy. And we're starting off by wrestling. And our boys and girls who have a co-op with Shippensburg High School have been competing with the Greyhounds up there in Shippensburg. 2 boys and 2 girls here from Shalom that are participating this year. We have Bryson Stotler, Bronson Huntoon, and on the girls' side, Reagan and Olivia Kearns, the 2 sisters. And some special recognition for Olivia, Jack. What's she up for?
For Public Opinion Female Athlete of the Week with her 19-second pin versus Greencastle, and she placed first at the Panther Holiday Classic.
Yeah, nice job, Olivia. And so I think that public opinion for the Athlete of the Week, I think voting's open through the end of today. So if you're listening to us here on December 18th, there's still time to go on and vote for Olivia for Athlete of the Week, which is pretty exciting. Back-to-back weeks where we've had Shalom athletes recognized for Athlete of the Week through the public opinion, with last week being Addison Adams. So upcoming for the wrestlers, Jack, what can you tell the audience what's coming up for them?
Tonight, for the boys, tonight, December 18th, they're home at Shippensburg versus Boiling Springs. And then girls, this Saturday, they play in the Big Spring Tournament. And then 19th and 30th, they play in the Bedlam Battle for the belt.
How about that? Bedlam Battle for the belt.
Yeah,
man.
I don't know where that is.
That just rolls right off
Yeah.
the tongue, doesn't it? So what do you know about wrestling, Doug?
Not a lot.
Same here.
I won't say much. I was just trying to look up here and to encourage people to vote for Olivia. She is, I can tell you, she was really close.
Okay.
She is about she's about 8 percentage points behind Kendall Stoner from James Buchanan right now.
Okay, so
the Shalom family needs to get on and vote today.
We need to vote for Olivia and get her to be Athlete of the Week. And like they said, you can just get on. You just keep voting. You don't. It's not a one and done thing. So you just get on and keep voting, and you can vote as many times as you want, which is pretty cool. So good luck, Olivia, with that. So that wraps up wrestling. Now we're going to turn our attention to basketball, Jack. And so on the girls for middle school, they are 4-1 on the year, 3-0 in the MDCC, currently on a 4-game winning streak. So our middle school girls are off to a great start. What's happened with them since our last podcast, Jack?
Oh, they beat this past Friday. They beat Grace Academy 39-13, and then tomorrow they play at Fairfield Middle School.
Mm-hmm. So they have one more game here before Christmas break, and then they had a win this past week, just one game. I think it's been a little bit lighter schedule. Probably has a lot to do with the Christmas programs that have been happening here at Shalom. So a little bit lighter schedule this past week. So question for you, Coach Lehman. You coached middle school girls before you took the varsity position 3 years ago, and so do you miss coaching them?
At some level, yes.
Mm-hmm.
There were some things I really enjoyed about that. We coached for 4 years, and had a really nice run there. The middle school program at Shalom, and so I just probably one of the biggest differences. Whenever you coach middle school girls, they think you walk on water. Whenever you coach varsity girls, they don't think quite so much that way. So, so it was fun to really feel like you could really shape young athletes, because we at here at Shalom, we were getting them as 6th graders without much basketball experience, and so you very teachable, coachable. Could shape and mold them into the kind of players that we were hoping to see later. And then by the time they get so many. Boys there, by the time you hit 9th and 10th grade, their habits are developed, sort of their default settings, I call it, are developed, and it's a lot hard to change those things. So that's one of the things I really liked about coaching middle school, was you were able to shape and mold things before all the habits, so to speak, had set in. So,
Sure.
So I missed that part of it, and we had a lot of fun together.
Yeah, and do you keep? I'm sure you keep tabs on what they're doing.
Oh, absolutely. You got to see what's coming.
That's right. That is true.
Yeah. And really, Coach Patrick Adams was one of my assistants for my last 3 years, actually, and him and I worked really well together. And he's got the middle school team this year off to a great start. Great numbers. I think there's 10 girls on the varsity or the A team, and I think there's 10 on the B team, which Ryan Jones is coaching that. There's a lot of. There's a lot of good young, big. If you've seen the middle school girls at all play, there's a lot of height, which is something you can't coach.
Correct.
So as Jack knows, and so, I think the middle school program's in a good spot. And great. Patrick has a great team of assistants there with him, and so they're doing a great job. And I think the future is bright. For Shalom basketball.
That's great, and that's what you like to see. That can kind of give you a glimpse into the future when you look at those middle school programs, and like you said, you can see what's coming.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is a place to talk about this here, but this is the first year at the varsity level that we've had a JV team, and so right now I think we have about 10 games scheduled, which is great from what so often happens at Shalom. We have great numbers in middle school, then they hit high school, and they most times wouldn't play for at least a year, maybe 2 years, because of the juniors and seniors.
Sure.
And so then they would it seemed like they would sort of step out of the program then, and then the numbers at the varsity level, we couldn't get much above 10.
Yeah.
And still we're successful, but you're always sort of riding that edge.
Sure.
And so super excited this year. We're able to have a JV team, and then it looks like next year we'll have even better numbers and probably 20 JV games instead of just 10.
That's exciting.
And so I think that's going to really be valuable to the girls program here moving forward.
For sure, yeah.
So.
That's a good point. It is good to see those numbers increasing so we can have those JV games, like you said,
absolutely.
to kind of bridge the gap between middle school and varsity. Those are some key games that happen in there. So right now we're going to look at the middle school boys team. They are 3-3 on the season, 2-1 in the MDCC, led by head coach Murray Roseman. He's assisted by Brad Moore and Jason Wenger. So this is the team you're on, Jack, and you've had one game in the past week as well. And what happened in that game?
Oh, we lost by 20.
Oh,
yeah,
ouch.
41-21 wasn't the best game.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of that game. It was actually pretty close at halftime. It was
like
second half. It got a little away from
we were only
you.
down by 2 at halftime, but then it just got worse. Yeah.
It happens, and I noticed on that team, I just watched it on the live stream, but the size differential looked pretty noticeable against you guys versus Grace, and that's one thing you guys are struggling. You're not really struggling with that. It's just the way it is. You can't teach height, but you guys you're a little bit shorter this year, and so that definitely is a
the worst part about it is we don't have a game till like January 2nd, so we got to have that loss in our head all that time.
So you can't wait to get that, but maybe that'll motivate you guys in practice to help you get better and work harder at those drills, so that I don't think actually I do have it listed on here. You guys play Big Spring Middle School on January 2nd, coming back from Christmas break, so you guys will be well prepared for them, I'm sure, with having a couple week break here to maybe just work on some things and just kind of clean some things up. And I think you guys will be all right. You guys got a nice team, and so we'll figure out, see what Mr. Roseman, see if he can earn his pay this year coaching. Do you think he's going to earn his pay, Jack? Yeah.
Yeah, I
think so. Yeah. Yep. So you're listening to the Shalom Sports Podcast with Jack and Juro, and our special guest today is our varsity girls head coach, Doug Lehman, varsity basketball girls head coach. And speaking of varsity girls basketball, we are going to talk about them next. You guys are 4-2 on the season, currently 4th place in the District 3 power rankings for Double A. You have assistants of Brad Moore and Nicole Diller, and once in a while, Mrs. Hoover.
Yeah, it's actually Alan Moore.
Oh, did I say Brad? I even looked at it.
Not his twin, but
not his twin. Yeah, they look very similar. So Jack, the varsity girls had 2 games since our last podcast. What happened in those games?
Oh, so this Saturday they lost at Lancaster County Christian 31-34, and then yesterday they lost to Springdale Prep 44-47.
Yeah, so back-to-back losses. So we had you on at a bad time, Coach Lehman, with coming off back-to-back losses, but that's just the way it works, right?
Yeah, it happens that way sometimes.
Yeah, so two close games. I mean, by 3, and I think both games had the opportunity to tie it up at the end. With the last
both
shot.
games we had opportunity, the 3-point shot to tie it up, to send overtime when we missed both of them. But we traveled last Saturday, Lancaster County Christian, and they're a single A team that made states last year.
Oh wow!
They're really solid, not flashy, but played very disciplined ball. They just kept doing the same thing over and over again, and they did it long enough that we just. We had a really poor shooting night. Our shooting percentage, I'm embarrassed to say it on a podcast, so I won't say it. But it was really low on Saturday. A lot of the girls that usually are shooters just didn't shoot well, so it kept that game a lot closer than it should have been. And then we just, we didn't pull it out at the end. And last night, a lot of fun here. Close game. Once again, had a chance to win. Missed the shot that would have tied a game up again. But toward I think it was about 3 quarters. I think we play 8-minute quarters. And it was probably 4 or 5 minutes into the third quarter, we found ourselves down 13 points. And it felt like we were going to get maybe blown out the way the game was going, if you were here at all. And our girls just fought. And they fought hard. And anyway, they got back and actually tied it up with about 20 seconds left. And then the other team went down, hit a great corner 3. We didn't have any timeouts left, so we couldn't set up our defense. We got back, and we were running at the girl, but she just hit a great shot over us, and and we once again with 1.8 seconds we had got a good look, just couldn't get it to go down. So, but got a great team this year. Girls have a lot of heart. They fought back in a way last night. I've probably not had any of my varsity teams to this point fight back in a game like that, and actually had a chance to win. So, I'm really super excited about moving forward. So we have a tough game against Lancaster Country Day on Friday night, and they're once again they're Double A, so they're one of the teams that we're fighting with for playoff spots, and so we definitely want to go out and play well and win that game on Friday night. So. Yeah,
and another game you have to travel back-to-back weeks where you're traveling to Lancaster County. But
that's good old Lancaster County.
That's just the way it goes sometimes.
We're going to take the girls on some buggy rides next time.
There you
down,
go.
so.
I'm sure they really like that. Speaking of last night, I know the Springdale Prep, they pressed the tar out of you. They pressed pretty much every possession for you guys as you were bringing the ball up the court. It seemed like they never let you bring it up easily, did they?
Yeah, no, and that it's interesting. If you watch, especially I watched the tape back last night, and it felt worse watching it in person during the game than it did on tape.
Mm-hmm.
We actually broke the press the majority of the time. But it was just the ongoing pressure that I think just got to us, and then we often would make the mistake. The biggest thing it kept us from doing was getting into our set offenses because of that, and so we had to manufacture some things, which we finally figured out probably about 5 minutes in or 2 minutes into the fourth quarter, and Lehman ended up with 10 points in his last 5 minutes, and we finally figured it out. If we figured it out sooner, probably would have had a different outcome. But they kept us out of our offense. We wanted to run, just that pressure, and we just So I've coached for 7 years now, and I've not faced that amount of pressure in any game for that long.
Sure.
That good at all. Usually they press us 2 or 3 possessions, and that's it.
Yeah.
But they just kept it up, and I think that our girls weren't ready for that amount that long.
Yeah, and, you broke it a couple times, but I guess not enough to have them call it off, because sometimes that's the way
we did. And when we did break it, it wasn't a good break. It was like we would get we had to make a tough pass, and a tough pass didn't lead to easy shots usually. So
yeah.
But
it wasn't like you said. Your girls fought hard. They didn't give up. Being down 13, sometimes you're kind of at a crossroads right there, where you can either fight back or you can just say we're going to lose this game, and then it gets really
they
ugly.
didn't pack it in, and was. It was a really quiet locker room last night,
right?
Which is unusual for us.
Uh-huh.
So, there wasn't much said.
Yeah.
And, other than I talked a lot, but which I usually don't.
You can imagine that, right? So one question people might ask, you mentioned that we are in the AA division of PIAA. So for those that don't understand how PIAA works, explain why most of our teams are in single A and why our varsity girls are in AA.
Yeah, so that's a great question. We are in AA because of the number of girls in our high school. And so whenever we applied to be part of PIAA, we were 2 girls over the limit for basketball. Every sport has its own number. So like girls volleyball and girls soccer, the number's different. And so they all were single A still. Which is there's only 9 schools in AA, and so they only take 4 out of those 9 for the playoffs. So it's actually harder to make the playoffs, not because of competition, but just because of numbers in AA. So every game now, last night's game didn't count because it was a Maryland school toward playoff seedings, but every Pennsylvania game we play, or every PIAA game we play, counts. So there's no off nights this year, where last year we would have nights where it just didn't matter. In a sense. So the pressure wasn't always there. Where this year the girls are playing every game under just a different kind of pressure, which you can tell.
Yeah.
And so it's a learning curve. It's a learning for coaches even.
Yeah, and currently sitting at 4th place, so you have that last seed in there.
Yeah, so we were at 2nd, and then we lost on Saturday. We dropped to 3rd, and then nothing happened, and we dropped to 4th. So it's just you can't get it's too early in the season to get locked in too much and to worry about that. But our goal is to finish 2nd or 3rd or 1st. So we have York Catholic would be, and they're a very good AA school. They've been AAA and dropped down to AA this year, so they're a very good school. And so,
it is a little bit confusing when you hear that our girls basketball participates in AA and most of our other teams play in single A, but it's just the way the numbers work out basically and how the alignments are. So that's good to know. So Jack, you thought you had a question for Coach Lehman?
Let's wait till the end.
Wait till the end? All right,
yeah.
we're gonna that's how good it is.
That's
we're gonna
how good
wait till
it
the
is,
end. Yeah. That's a little tease. That's what they call that in the biz, the tease. That's a tease to keep people, on for longer. So I like that.
Like commercial break, right when you say that.
That's right. After the break.
Yeah.
So our varsity boys basketball, they're currently 5-1 on the season and ranked in 5th place in the District 3 power rankings for single A. And like you mentioned, Coach Lehman, the how it quickly changes. When I did this last night, we were actually in 3rd place, and this morning when I checked, we were in 5th. So I mean, it's kind of crazy how quickly that can change, and depending on when the scores get reported and everything. But currently ranked 5th, and if I remember right, I think 10 teams make the the single A playoffs.
Yeah.
So.
Did you ever have you ever explained the power rankings at all? Like it's typically when you're in a league or something, it goes off wins and losses, so it's easy to track.
Correct.
Know where you're at. Where the power rankings take into account your opponent's wins and losses, what size of school they are, your own wins and losses. There's a lot of things going into a big. You got to know calculus to figure it out.
Pretty much,
and,
yeah.
So there's a lot of things. So that's why it switches like that whenever you don't even play.
Correct.
Because somebody else you might have played to beat a team that lost another game, which then that's not as good a loss or good a win. So it's just I've been telling we really need to be big fans of all the schools we play.
Yeah.
Because the more they win, the better the time when we beat them, or even our losses
It makes you look better.
So
Sure.
So we're rooting for all the teams we play.
There you go.
Except when we play them.
Except when you play them, yep. That's just a good Christian thing to do anyway.
That's right.
That's right. So our varsity boys led by head coach Danley Shank in his 15th season. He's assisted by Matt Wenger and Brad Moore. They had one game since our last podcast, Jack. What happened in that game?
On Saturday, they beat Lancaster County Christian 71-44.
Yeah, so it looks like they went down there to Lancaster and took care of some business there on Saturday, so that was good for them. They have a couple games coming up here, one game before Christmas break, and then actually 2 games before Christmas break, Jack. What's happening there?
So tomorrow they play home versus Mountain Ridge High School at 7. Then on Friday they play at York County Day School at 7:30.
Yep, so one home game, one away game, and then over Christmas break, and I should have asked Coach Roseman this. They're in the Fan at Metal Christmas tournament, and I bet it's been – because I think they were doing this tournament before Danley started coaching, and it's his 15th season. So we've been doing it more than 15 seasons, heading over to Fan at Metal for their Christmas tournament. And that's always a good time over the holidays to go enjoy some basketball in that time. So if you're not doing anything on December 27th and 28th, head on over to Fan at Metal and cheer on the Flames. So that kind of wraps up today's episode. Jack, except for your question Coach Lehman. So do we need a drum roll or anything? Or is it more like
no.
a sports trivia question?
No, it's not that.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
All right.
so my question is, who was a better athlete in high school, you or Mrs. Hoover?
Ooh.
Oh, wow. And you asked me that right in front of her husband. So yeah. Well, we both were, how should I say, neither of us were, wow, I wasn't ready for that one. I thought you were going to ask me something about my daughter. So both of us were good athletes. We weren't the top of our class athletes, but we were solid, and we made our teams win. We sort of did, both of us, I would say, did the dirty work that got things done. And we'll call it a draw.
Okay, yeah.
That's really taking the easy way out. But I remember, I think my sister was a senior, and it was one of the first years that we were in the MDCC, and the tournament game was at Mont Alto, and she hit some huge foul shots to win the championship game. Am I right about that?
Yep, you're right.
And, I remember that. And I would have been in college, so I wouldn't have saw a lot of the season. But I was home for that game. And so really proud of her in that moment. And, I think really I think both of us, had a decent-sized role in really helping create a solid foundation for Shalom athletics. It was a lot more than just us.
Yeah.
But I'm saying we were part of a group of athletes in the early to mid 90s that really, I think set Shalom on an athletic course that still carries forward to the day, that was able to build off of and be very successful. So I'm proud of that fact. So.
Yeah, and you should be. And I feel like that's kind of maybe not quite to the extent, but with this PIAA transition for our school, I feel like these are kind of pioneer teams that are accelerating us into PIAA, and I feel like, in my opinion, laying a great foundation for our future in the PIAA here at Shalom Christian Academy. So that's pretty exciting to see.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I feel like the fall sports, we did very well for our first year. I think the winter sports we're doing well, and we have a lot of great athletes that are now playing at that varsity level, and a lot like Jack are coming in the coming years. They're going to be able to build on that.
Correct.
We'll get to a certain point, but then the middle schoolers now hopefully will be excelling more than we will, just because it's a different. It's wild. It's just a basketball game, but it just feels different.
It does feel different.
It just feels different in a good way.
Yeah.
So
it's been pretty exciting.
Yep.
And what I've liked about it, enjoyed about it, just playing different schools. I think that's great. Nothing against the schools that we've played in the NDCC. We've had great relationships with them, but it's always exciting to participate and play against different schools out there, and which has been exciting, as well as the opportunities. Like for cross country,
absolutely,
and for our
wrestling,
wrestling that with the co-op with Shippensburg, and with softball coming here in the spring and different things like that, and maybe future opportunities with track and field. I just feel like there's just the potential there for a lot more open doors for our athletes, and just maybe getting more kids involved that don't play the traditional sports that we played here at Shalom. So that's the main reason why I like the PIAA as well.
We just got to still make sure the basketball stays at the top of the heap there.
Well, I think Jack's gonna make sure. Jack's got that.
Jack's got that. You got that nailed down for us. Okay.
Doesn't go away here at Shalom Christian Academy. So, well, we appreciate you having you on here today.
Yeah,
Doug.
absolutely. Thanks
great.
for thanks for the opportunity.
I hope our audience has enjoyed getting to know you better and getting to understand the Varsity girls basketball program a little bit better. And just want to say thank you for all you've done and poured into the program. I know you, along with our other coaches, just pour in hours and hours of, and it's not just practices and games. It's going home and watching recaps of games and just trying to figure out some things to make your team better. So there's lots of hours that even people don't see. So we appreciate that.
And I just want to give a shout out to Coach Alan Moore and Coach Nicole Diller, my two assistants. They do an awesome job.
And that's what usually the head coach gets all the recognition or most of the recognition, but it's the support staff that he has or that they have in place that makes them even more successful. And you got two good ones on your staff, which is pretty awesome. So anything else you want to add to Jack?
We could talk about North Carolina.
We could, but we could wait to another week, too, to talk about them. We could talk about Iowa State.
Iowa
That's
State,
a little more of a positive situation.
It's a little more exciting than North Carolina.
Yeah, I just actually checked here because I knew I wanted to be an intelligent part of this conversation, talking about Iowa State. Currently ranked third.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Wow. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. 9-1, I think. Yeah, 9-1.
So that's pretty cool.
Lost to Auburn, so Auburn's too.
And Auburn's above you, so that's not, nothing, no shame in that to lose to a better team. But you guys are off to a great season. Yeah. And unlike the Tar Heels, looks like you're going to have a pretty good year. Yeah. Not giving up on the Tar Heels yet.
Hopefully they make the NIL tournament.
The NIL?
NIT.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said
NIL's the money.
Yeah, that's the money. And maybe that's what the problem is in Chapel Hill. There's not Bill Belichick's got all the NIL money maybe, and the basketball team doesn't. So we'll save that for a whole other podcast. So, I know one Coach Lehman and I were talking about earlier this week is about the transfer portal in college football and why it's open now and not after the college playoffs. But that's a whole another episode too, so we won't get into that.
It sounds like you might want to expand your
we
topics
might have
here.
to.
Outside of Shalom, maybe start a second podcast.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. No, I'll let the professionals do that. We just talk about Shalom sports here and keep everybody up to date on that. So. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for joining in today, and Merry Christmas to you, Jack. And like I said, if you want to come in next Wednesday, I won't be here, but I can show you how to set this up, and you can fly solo if you want.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm going to be here next Wednesday either.
All right. Well, I hope everybody out there has a Merry Christmas, and we're going to take a little 2-week break. We'll be back here in January, and we'll be catching you up on what's happening in the world of Shalom sports. Have a good one.
Thanks for listening to the Shalom Sports Podcast. If you enjoyed today's content, please hit the subscribe button. That will notify you of future content.